Okay, uh, we have a little bit of vocabulary to do today. And the first bit of vocabulary has to do with another triangle. And the word is a median. Now, this is a little different than the mean, median, and mode that you knew before because it's not the middle number, but it's actually a line segment that will go from the vertex of an angle to the midpoint of this side. So if we look at the midpoint, and it's about right there, and we connect the vertex to the midpoint, that is the median. And of course, there's going to be three of these per triangle because we can have a midpoint on this connected by this one, and we can have a midpoint on this one connected to this. These, all three medians, uh, intersect to form a centroid. So the intersection is called centroid. Okay, and this centroid is kind of a special thing because it is the center of the triangle as far as mass is concerned. So if I was to take one of these triangles, cut it out on paper or cardstock or whatever, and I wanted to balance it so that it was flat, I would end up putting my pen right on this centroid right here, and that would end up balancing the entire thing. So it's kind of a neat thing. You could also put a string right through there, and it would be able to spin at that point. All right. The other really interesting thing here is that there is a median theorem. And that says that the distance from the vertex to the centroid is twice as much as the distance from the centroid to the midpoint. So this would be like 2x and this would be x. The other way that you could look at it is that the centroid is 2/3 of the distance from the angle or the vertex to the midpoint. So if I marked it, I'd say, okay, this one here is 2/3, and this one here is 1/3. All right. So, and that's the midpoint theorem. Just basically says that this thing is 2/3 of the way. This piece right here is 2/3 of the way from here to here. So 2/3 of it is from here to the centroid. So kind of a cool thing. All right. There are a number of different things that we're going to end up doing with the centroids a little bit later on, but the really short portion of it would be something like this. If we have our triangle and we create a median, and we do that with all the sides, but at the moment I'm going to only keep this one, and we find that the centroid is right about here, then if they said, all right, let's say this piece right here is 14, then how long is the entire piece? Well, you'd have to go, okay, if this piece right here is 14, we don't know how long this piece right here is. So we know that this piece up here is going to be 2 times the length of that piece. Okay, so in other words, I know that the 14 is equal to 2 times the length of the other piece. So the other piece is going to be 7. So if this piece right down here is 7, then that means that the entire thing is 21. So if I know this piece down here, I just multiply by 2 to get this piece up here. So the easy way of looking at it is like this. Let me erase this part right here. And so if we are given this piece here, we're going to divide by 2 to get to that piece. If we're given this piece down here, we're going to multiply by 2 to get this piece up here. All right, the next part. The next part is about an altitude. And an altitude is the line that is perpendicular to this piece that goes through here. So if we drop a line straight down and it's perpendicular, then this is the altitude. Altitude. Also known as the height of the triangle. Now that's really important when we start looking at things like formulas like 1/2 base times height. We're going to need this height in order to be able to find the area, in this case, of the triangle. So we have altitudes that drop straight down from the vertex, and they're perpendicular to the base. If we end up with a triangle that's kind of a weird triangle, like this one, then we have to understand that the altitude here is actually, if we continue out the base, this is going to be the altitude, or the height of the triangle. All right, and we'll work with Pythagorean theorem and a few things like that in order to be able to calculate some altitudes, or in other words, the height. All right, that's it. We'll see you in class.